At a glance, Huniepop could appear like just another flavor of the month, a game that was made by perverts for perverts. However, the amount of passion that was put into this game was heavily appreciated by many throughout 2016. An outlier among dating sims it is. The gameplay in your typical dating sim is mostly based on digitized social intimacy, emotionally rising and falling through a series of choices better known as dialogue trees. At their core, dating sims revolve around relationship building and giving the player a feeling of interaction. Despite being popular in Japan, dating sims would not be fit for the Western market's need for fast gameplay, except for Ryan Koons, the creator of Huniepop. His love for art led to the crossbreeding of genres to bring more gameplay to a relatively gameplayless genre, and the best way to do that? Tile swapping. Since Huniepop's release in 2015, the game has risen in popularity thanks to the diligence of its creator and its avid fanbase. Today, the title has a rating of 96% on over 18,000 reviews on Steam. Many who aren't even a fan of dating simulators or even anime would feel charmed by the efforts completed by Huniepop. In Huniepop, your goal is to date, flirt, and eventually sex a variety of females located in your small city. These dates would be expressed in a metaphorical puzzle game, where your main goal is to match tokens and receive a certain amount of a variable known as affection. As your quest to get laid manifests into a thickness that we are looking for, you discover that there's a lot more to the game than just swapping tiles. This is Huniepop. Huniepop originated as a Kickstarter on October 2nd, 2013. In less than 24 hours, the Kickstarter received $2,000 in funding. On November 1st, the project achieved its goal plus some at $53,536. Rewards were given to patrons, including one of the rewards being a designer tissue box of your favorite girl.
The collectible tissue box reward ran into some trouble when the manufacturer declined the order for Huniepop tissue boxes twice. To ensure that backers got their tissue boxes, Ryan contacted a product package manufacturing company and set a custom order for tissue box containers. They then had to buy hundreds of tissue boxes, manually remove the tissues from the ones they bought, put the tissues into the custom Huniepop boxes, and then seal the boxes themselves.
The successful funding led to the game having 100% voice acting, as well as upgrades to the staff. On March 14th, 2014, Huniepop was finally greenlit on Steam. All we had to do now is simply wait, as 2014 would be dedicated to finalizing production. The race was present, as the title would soon be delayed. The game was finally given a launch date, January 21st, 2015, but was released 3 days early out of excitement. Creator Ryan Koons successfully kept the Kickstarter up to date. Ryan Koons' effort towards a successful project was actively present throughout the 47 updates made on the game's Kickstarter. Within this period, he provided updates, replies, a special Xmas gift, and of course, plenty of loot for the fans. So prior to being the main director of Huniepop, Ryan Koons has a background in game design for developers such as Activision and Insomniac, specifically for their work on the mobile Facebook game known as Outernauts. You heard me right, Insomniac created a Facebook game. Outernauts would feature little creatures that the player could collect, train, and battle. It gained mostly positive reviews despite its pay-to-win microtransaction system that we all know. The game wouldn't even last longer than 2 years before being removed from the Facebook game lineup. It would soon be ported to iOS, but due to a lack of popularity, the title would shut down permanently on February 1st, 2016. But moving forward, according to Ryan, his two great loves, girls and games, fused together to plant the Huniepop seed as it manifested into a pure dating simulator. This, however, did not please Ryan's need for satisfactory gameplay. He eventually added the puzzle elements to fill that niche. I wanted to avoid the usual innocent waifu-style character types you see in visual novels time after time. Instead, I wrote from my personal experiences with the intent to be as not serious as possible. Many of the girls are heavily influenced by women I've known in real life.
At the time, there was no native 2D shit in Unity, so I had to write all my own custom 2D tools, which is why the code base for Huniepop is now absolute trash, right? And when people ask me to do like updates or DLC characters for Huniepop, it just sounds like a fucking nightmare to me.
The Kickstarter released a pre-alpha trailer displaying gameplay that did not match the final product. We would see some features listed like a fitness skill, finding open jobs, learning moves, and showing gestures present on the character screen. All of these would consume a duration of time, requiring players to manage their own schedules. The date minigame would not feature gifts. Instead, it would have 3 objectives listed that would help the player with its goal. Alright, now check out this, guys. So, on May 25th, 2014, the Kickstarter promoted Huniepop in a video called Huniepop Field Research.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ryan from the Huniepop dev team, and today I'm going to take a little break from my usual programming routine and go do a little field work. Let's do it.
This video is now private, but there is a leak available online. In this video, Ryan Koons walks up to random females and starts flirting with them.
You're about to be the sexiest thing I have ever seen in my life. What's your sexy name? All right, 1 through 10.
I don't want to be put on the spot.
Absolutely, you're on the spot. It's too late. You're already on it. You know me. I'm your future boyfriend.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
Ryan Koons practically embarrasses himself harmlessly flirting with others. I can understand why this video was privated, but how I feel in a generation where Eric Andre is top dog, videos like these are just absolutely hilarious to me. Finally, on January 4th, 2015, we received the second teaser trailer of Huniepop. This time, we get to see some obvious differences and changes to the gameplay of the title. We'll get more into this in a sec, but let's jump into the gameplay itself. So the game starts the player out in a bar, where you are introduced to a love fairy in disguise.
My name is Q. Nice to meet you.
Q approaches you and begins to take an interest in her pathetic shallowness that clearly displays your lack of relationship knowledge. She sees potential in the player. She believes in morphing you into an irresistible hot daddy. Q's character teaches you the ins and outs of the game, thus introducing a player to an 8x7 grid of various tokens. The main goal is to obtain the hit variable known as affection. There are 4 types of affection: romance, that is orange, talent, which is blue, flirtation, that is green, and sexuality, as you guessed it, red. Some players will prefer certain types over others. The hearts represent passion, which amplifies the amount of affection that is gained overall. The bells express joy and give players an additional move. Moves themselves are limited and require persistent ganders in case of bamboozling oneself into the shadow realm. It's happened to me a lot, guys. So sentiment are these teardrop looking icons. They are heavily valued tokens. Sentiment can be expensed for gifts.
Cool, huh? Oh, and thanks to a little fairy magic, you'll never actually lose them.
Players can hold up to 6 date gifts that can easily fit the bill as gift loadouts, a series of gifts that can help the player with completing the puzzle, which given the only main objective is affection, so how that player achieves this goal varies by loadout. The player is also given what the game likes to call the Honeybee 4.0, a smartphone device that functions as a date tracker, profiler, messenger, item shop, and DNA replicator. So following the tutorial, the player is given a choice of 5 locations to start their journey. If runners are looking for achievements, Steam guides recommend to always choose the shopping mall, because there's also a chance that you could have 8 dates in that single day. That can be achieved if you can be able to get the goldfish in the shop on day 1. Fans have it down to a science on Steam achievement guides. They feel that it's better to be choosing the shopping mall and having to deal with the bitch first.
Work? Bitch, I'm already going to school. What the fuck do you expect?
Regardless which one you choose, you will still be exposed to the same girls at the same locations in this order. I was playing more casual, so I decided to go with Lola as my first girl.
Me? Why? You see something you like? I have to give you credit though, that's pretty brave. You don't hear that often enough. Is that your technique? Hitting on girls at the coffee shop?
Each girl will have schedules in their day. Some will go to bed early, while others prefer to sleep in. Some have responsibilities and lifestyles that are needed to be understood by the player, in case your gal suddenly seeks your validation. The gal also has an appetite meter that is accompanied with an alcohol meter. Using the given iOS device, the player can purchase goods and even 3D prints it for you at your own leisure. The higher your date's appetite meter, the more joy the player starts with. A bar of appetite is also burned when you spark discussion with your date. It will require at least one to go on said date. This is the alcohol bar. You can purchase alcoholic beverages for your date that will increase the honey that is gained through talking to the gal overall. How does purchasing one beverage sell it out immediately? Like, this bar would be empty in minutes. One issue is that honey is used for the trait system, and once all the traits are complete, then what do I do with this? If a date is completed successfully, you gain one big heart that will display your progress in a relationship. Once 5 hearts are met, you will need to go on a night date so you can get laid. This is given in a mini-game, much similar to the typical 9x7 grid. This time, you'll have to simply match as fast as possible, and your success will be heavily rewarded. But I can't stream it, so. So talking to your date will have about 2 outcomes. The first thing you do is you can ask her a question. You can ask about like 9 different things you can learn about a girl, which, I mean, it varies. Like, you can learn about her height, you can learn about her weight, you could also learn about her breast size, which then none of them are really offended by that, I guess, so it's not a big deal. But there is also another thing too. They could also ask you questions just to, validate your feelings towards her, I guess. And I mean, once the question is on the table, you cannot go on the honeybee for assistance. As a matter of fact, it will actually accuse you of cheating when you try to do so. The girls in the Huniepop universe mostly just live adjacent to one another. I mean, some of them are friends, like Nikki and Audrey, but I mean, they're only like kind of friends, But here's the point though. Regardless of relation, nothing will stop you from boning them all, including Tiffany and Jesse, who, you guessed it, are mother and daughter. The successful Kickstarter campaign led to 3 additional unlockable characters to be achieved in the game. The first and easiest to achieve is Momo. To unlock Momo, you have to purchase a bag of goldfish and dispose of him outside. Momo will be attracted to the food and ask you if you can be her master. There's a lot of contradictory to her character, like her favorite food is veggies and sweets. You can also take her to the water park, which I'm pretty sure cats detest that. Momo will also ask you questions on cats, which is fine, except for when you're trying to 100% her profile. It's just really annoying to basically have to wait for the opportunity to ask a question. So the second unlockable character can be unlocked as such. So in the beginning, the player is given 2 items, a dirty magazine and a box of tissues. At first, it's useless, but both can be given to Q after you are able to date her. The box of tissues gives a special gift that doubles your passion for 10 sentiment, and the dirty magazine can be exchanged for this weird thing. In order to exchange this, we will have to wait for a date to be located at Turtle Bay Beach. This can take a few days, and once you arrive, you can say hi to your date and then immediately leave, because you will be stopped by Celeste. She is a space bounty hunter that crash landed onto the shoreline. Naturally, we start flirting with her, and naturally, it works. Alright, so the last character to unlock is Venus, and in order to really unlock her, you have to have sex with every single female in the game, which can take a little bit. Once that's achieved, however, Q will surprise you the morning after with Venus. She will be your final challenge, as no man has successfully wooed her. There's not really much to say except for her odd resemblance of Coco from Yu Yu Hakusho. Not really much more to say about Venus, except she really is just the final battle towards your 100% playthrough. Throughout this entire project, I've always found myself confusing this title with Chobits. They both open the viewer to characters that with lifelike qualities, giving these characters almost a sensation of life. Obviously one is more embedded in the plot, and another one is a tile-swapping puzzle game, but hear me out guys, hear me out, okay? So, in Chobits, we find that humans live in a world among persicoms, human-like smartphone devices. The anime explores relationships between man and machine. The protagonist Hideki begins to perceive life within Chi, However, if we're talking about Huniepop, despite Huniepop's jocular approach to the genre, the characters still have a very strong sensation of life. Why else would I feel very interested in the characters? I feel for Kiana for dropping out of high school to raise her own child. I adore Nikki's insecure, lackadaisical attitude. I feel blessed in the presence of Belly, and I hate Audrey for being a bitch. And having all these feelings for these characters is what keeps the player invested and interested into continuing that game. The game can be a little tricky at times, as it can rely heavily on the RNG, but even that can be improved by upgrading the gamble skill. Don't let the simple gameplay fool you into thinking it will be easy though. Sometimes you'll be working on a plan, but only to find that you had one turn left and no bells in sight. Also, since some girls only like certain types of affection, you can potentially have a drought of that specific variant, thus leaving you vulnerable to simply not getting enough points.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't mind.
This is where focusing on a gift loadout can benefit you. There's dozens of strategies that one can be done with the proper loadout, but even that takes time and countless present openings to get the perfect loadout for your playstyle. My preferred strategy is focusing on joy tokens. If your date runs out of joy, she will take back all of her genuinity in response to your generosity of showering her with gifts. And trust me, getting 3 broken hearts hurts sometimes.
I don't feel you're being very mindful of my needs.
Huniepop late game becomes more of a chore as you hit the final dates with Venus. I could learn all about these girls and truly 100%, but it feels that in order to do that, I have to farm talking with my dates, and since talking to them requires food, which requires money, which requires dating, which gives no incentive besides getting money and honey, which is now worthless because all of the traits are now unlocked. You can see where I'm getting at here. You also need to purchase all 24 gifts for each girl in order to 100%. Some gifts can cost 200, but unique gifts can cost you thousands. You know how much money I make late game? 5,000. Do you know that there's a gift that's 3,300? It just turns into a grind by this point. After having sex with Venus, Q will congratulate you and will offer the player to alpha mode.
Whoa, that was awesome. I saw the whole thing.
Turn in all of the panties of all the previous girls and Q will put in her 2 cents into all of them. You finally get to choose where to take your date, which I really wonder why I couldn't do that until now. Alpha mode will give you that boost of income to push for that 1 hundo. And as much as I love the amount of passion that was put into this game, I really feel that the game loses its charm. After 3 games of alpha mode, I finally waved the white flag. Not because of difficulty, but because of boredom. 15 hours of gameplay later, Huniepop entertained me all the way until now. For the current price of $10, I spent about 66 cents an hour, which is pretty good in comparison to some $60 titles out there. But this would not be the end of Huniepop Studios. We still have 2 more games to talk about. We'll see you in the next part of this series. Thank you guys for watching.